Good afternoon, it's good morning. Okay. All right. Good. Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Mark Harrison. I'm the founder and the CEO of Callisto Grand. So it's, let's say, a very warm welcome and thank you to everybody for joining us today. Your participation means a lot to us and it's very important to us. As long-standing partners of Serala, we are delighted to be hosting this discussion today. Before we move on, I'd like to thank my colleague Esther Gabrielle, our events and partnership manager, and also Joanna Gerstein from Serala for their hard work behind the scenes. It takes an awful lot to put these events together, and we're very grateful to them, as well as Manuel and Neil, who I'll be introducing shortly. So just a couple of housekeeping points. We'll be recording today's event and the slides will be available at the end. If you have any questions, please ask them as we go through the session. Use the chat facility and direct them to Esther, and we'll respond to as many as we can towards the end, around about 10 to 15 minutes from the end of today's hour. The panelists will introduce themselves shortly, but first a brief introduction about myself and Callisto Grand. So Callisto Grand was established to provide training and development and best practice advisory services in credit order to cash, particularly to shared services, and based on more than 40 years of global experiences. Our mission is for credit management, whether that's O2C, P2C, I2C, C2C, and so on, to be recognized as an essential profession, bringing real value to every business and for individuals to enjoy a dynamic, varied, exciting, and rewarding career. Our methodology focuses on future-proofing and the holistic upskilling of talent to embrace the opportunities afforded through the digital transformations that we're all embracing these days. We open doors beyond silo and process orientation and develop a culture that will echo through time, encouraging the talent to become increasingly proactive and sought after business partners. Working capital and trade receivables will be under ever increasing pressure and focus in the next couple of years from many direct and indirect angles, and effective cash allocation will play an incredibly important role. Cash allocation is an area I've been involved in all levels over the years, and it's my pleasure to introduce Neil Murdy, the Global Credit Manager from Hitachi ABB Power Grids, and Manuel Claassen, the Manager Solution Architects from Sarala. So again, welcome everybody. And first of all, Manuel, if you would just set the scene with introduce yourself and a little bit about Sarala, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Hi everyone, this is Manuel. I am a solution architect for cash application at Sarala. 6 years now in the company based in Hamburg. Yeah, pretty happy to be here today. Yeah, Sarala, who we are is we are a B2B fintech software company providing finance products for corporates all over the world in different areas, mainly in the P2P, O2C, payments and cash visibility environment. We are more than 30 years in the market already, and we have offices and employees all around the globe, providing corporates with the experts in those areas, providing SAP products, cloud products. So actually we're covering all requirements and needs for clients, partners. And very happy to discuss today with Neil quite current project, and thanks Mark for setting the scene today and for inviting us.
You're very welcome. So Neil, then you would just give us a bit of background about yourself and the project that we're going to investigate in more detail today.
Yeah. Hi Mark, and hi everyone, and thanks again, Mark, for inviting me, and thanks for Manuel for getting me involved. My role, I'm Global Credit Manager for Hitachi ABB Power Grids. The company's actually only existed for a short time, so we were formed on the 1st of July 2020, but before that I had a 30-year career with ABB, and then for the last 10 years working as Global Accounts Receivable Manager for ABB. So my story basically spans these two amazing companies, and also talks about the project that we did in between. If I just talk a little bit about when we first implemented Autobank, we started from a situation where we had over 30 different SAP systems, and this was an achievement for us in ABB, having had even more than that in years before that. So we still had multiple SAP systems. We had cash application was done in individual market centers, and the techniques that we used for cash application would be different depending on the market, depending on the business type. And then between the period, we went through a project as part of a global productivity program to create 5 global GBS hubs in ABB. And that project happened between 2014 and 2017, where we established these 5 global hubs. And through that process, we moved, I would say 50%, maybe a little bit more, of all of the accounts receivable activities. So cash application, customer master, receivable accounting, all went to our global business services, while collection, credit and dispute remained in the market centers. Now the approach we followed was lift and shift, right? So lifting, so basically taking the process as it was, and then implementing it directly in the hubs. So the challenges we had were that we had different processes, obviously, and then which led to lots of issues on cross-training, or backup structures were always an issue. No cross system possible really, and no possibility for us to have global standardized processes and operational procedures. So this was the background for us to do the project. And the project in itself was to implement a standardized way of doing cash application using Autobank technology in all of the countries around the world. So in the end, yeah, we had over 30 to 40 countries we'd implemented Autobank. Key objectives to have the same cash application process, to have standardized, to reduce unapplied cash, to increase automation rates, and to have that global ownership of how things were done for cash app. And the benefits, obviously, some obviously process harmonization, but also some rationalization of FTEs, improved cash flow, and further transparency. And we also had, I put this as a bullet, the project had quite a cool name. So CABB, so cash applied before breakfast, was the strap line, which was the objective of what we were trying to do. So if the bank statement was in our hands before breakfast, like in early morning, we could have that fully processed by, let's say, breakfast time. So the next phase, just talk about the carve out, so power grids. So I intentionally changed the title of the slide. So now it was announced that we would be acquired by Hitachi back end of 2019, and then there was quite a big rush for us to build a new company, carve out Power Grid so that it could be integrated into Hitachi. We built a new standalone company. The ABB landscape that we had the SAP landscape that we had in ABB was mirrored, and then all of the other features, treasury, banking setup, everything had to be migrated to the new company. And these changes happened between 2020 and 2021, where we've set up a parallel global hubs. We've got parallel front office local markets as well. AR activities are even, let's say, more centralized in the current model than they were in ABB. Approach still lift and shift, so what was done in the ABB framework, same as before. But then we start on a global S4HANA project to allow us to fully separate from ABB. And with the global S4HANA project, then we will go down to one SAP system. So for us, the challenge is obviously new teams in all of the hubs and a mixture of Autobank operational capabilities. So when we're carving out, we inherited some colleagues from ABB to build our new shared service centres, and some of the colleagues remained in ABB, some joined us, and then perhaps in ABB and in Power Grids, both companies had to have some new colleagues join. And then some natural things that come as a result of the carve out. So wrong pocket cash and issues with novated cash, and these are special things. And I guess I got some excuses, for our current automation rate, but these were the challenges we're currently facing. So that's it. A little bit about us, a bit about what we've gone through over the last few years, and I guess the next slide is just a few bullets of like our key takeaways. So yeah, we're live with Autobank in many countries, and with over 100 company codes and hundreds of banks, standardized cash application process where we can, and harmonizing into one central solution. And the key for us is key users trained, but I guess that with a lot of these things, and a lot of these things where I make these statements about being proud of these achievements, there are also some of these areas are the areas that we still need to work on, or some of these are gifts that we're yet to receive. So we're always constantly having to work on key user development and further standardization and maintaining standards.
Okay, thanks very much, Neil. I think you've set the scene very nicely there and given a very interesting sort of backdrop as to why you actually kind of started the project and how it was before, and I guess there's still a fair way to go. It's a constant program, isn't it? So okay, so we'll move into the sort of various questions now. So the first question I have is so the caching side is absolutely crucial for an overall liquidity stabilization. However, before before one begins to drive the change, there's a need for a comprehensive understanding of the current economic environment. Neil, which developments and changes have you seen emerge throughout the last 12 months in finance and AR management in particular? You're on mute, Neil. Sorry, pal.
Yeah, because we're primarily business to business and primarily in the utility space. In terms of let's say the current economic environment, we don't see ourselves as being particularly badly hit by the current circumstances. I think the things that we've been, I mean, if we talk about let's say the pandemic or those consequences, I guess we're hit in the way that many global shared service centres are hit. And then when a global shared service centre that's building during a transition, having a transition of the magnitude that we've had, basically building a new accounts receivable team globally with close to 200 people in it during a pandemic, new laptops, new onboarding, access, even training. All of these things have affected us. And then for us also during the pandemic, also handling our customers who are also in the same circumstances. So I don't know whether I'm speaking to that point, Mark, but I would say if on a cash application basis, just looking at a cash application basis, we don't have enough remittance advice details.
Mm.
And if we don't have enough remittance advice details, one person needs to get into contact with another person, and neither person is contactable or using a phone or contactable by phone.
Yeah.
Nobody's in the office, right? So it's all by email, and are they still there? And are we still there? Because all of our organization has changed. So I would say, yeah, I don't know whether that's answered your question, Mark, but I would say the developments I've seen over the last 12 months is that our ability to get connected with our customers, to get remittance details, is changing. And maybe this is,
It's a good point you raised, and it's actually a more general point as well. And I won't go off on too much of a tangent, but you're saying about being able to contact people, and that also affects the collection teams equally and as much as cash allocation people as well. And I think it's something that one of the things that's come out of the current situation, people working from home and so on, is that when new companies perhaps are onboarded, that part of the application form includes new ways to contact accounts payable. So it's not just a telephone number as it was historically, or an office number in a hunt group, but maybe it's a WhatsApp link or something else as well. So that the communication still goes on. So it's and it also, your points also emphasize that for all the big picture of projects, it's the little things that sometimes get overlooked in it. Like you just said, contacting people is still an absolute essential, right? So the devil is in the detail, as they say, right? And no point is too small to be brought into project scope. So thanks for that.
But just to summarize, just to sort of get to our customer base is large public utilities or multinational APCs doing projects of tens of millions, often, right? We do have the smaller levels of business, but our business model or the nature of our business means that, let's say, if we look at the center of the vortex of who's getting hit by the pandemic, touch wood, we're at the outside of that vortex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's other industries that are in retail and travel and all that kind of thing, and it's cash allocation, I think, is also to be viewed, generally speaking, as a massive tool now for quick intelligence as well. you know, short payments, late payments, changing in trends, I think, and it's something that, you know, that Cash App can pick up very quickly and report into the business. So it's not just a matching process. There's a lot more to it than that, I believe. And the technology actually helps to, you know, to create that information. Right? Okay. Manuel, same question to yourself, really, from a fintech perspective. What have you seen throughout the last year? And when you talk to your clients generally, what do you hear about how the current crisis has changed their business?
Well, yeah, Neil already mentioned some very important things. We often talk to customers, to clients, prospects, and of course, we all also talk about how they are handling the crisis, and there are challenges like laptops and what Neil already said. When I don't want to reply that. So when we go more to the business side, what we saw, we did a survey last year for a bunch of corporates, and they said that 6% of them, they feel that COVID has had a heavy or very heavy impact on their enterprise, and 42 do not even feel that the current cash-related business processes and tools they have, that those meet their needs during this time. So what we saw is that the crisis has made the procedural problems and challenges even more apparent. I think that's one important thing. What we saw in cash application, for example, and also in other environments. So it's really apparent, because now everyone sits at home, and automatically challenges popping up. The process flaws have become even more as a result of the crisis as well. So everyone needs to be more digitized the processes. So we saw also that the main, let's say, near-term investment priorities has changed, meaning that cash and liquidity management, invoice digitization, so in and out, and AR collection automation. Yeah, those are the main main priorities at the moment. So yeah, important points during this very challenging time during this crisis is the optimization of working capital first, and identify more reliable company-wide cash position and future cash requirements. And nevertheless, and in the end, for me, one of the most important things, to more digitize the processes they have. That is what we have seen on the business side, next to the typical challenges everyone has, also in personal. I mean, what you said, Mark, you cannot reach someone in the office anymore. I mean, then email is the next thing you can do. But that's what we saw as a fintech company when we talked to clients during the last year. The second question you had is how the current crisis has changed the business. Again, digitalization is something what we saw. So companies have they have been pushed now more to be more digital. For example, shops that are not open anymore, so they have closed. So companies need to offer their goods digital, especially for consumer goods. And a lot of customers, they suddenly had to digitize very quickly, which is also a big challenge, especially when we, like Neil said, they have very complex environment. So we've also seen this in our project as well. It more drives to online payments like PSP processing. They get very important. We see that in almost every project. So that's what we saw during the last more than 12 months, I would say.
Okay, and there's going to be a lot more of that as we go through the next couple of years. I think working capital is going to be under incredible pressure, and the recession or the distressed customers really is the main impact. But there's lots of other things that are going to impact working capital as well, that are coming from many different angles. which is what I was saying at the outset, that our area, credit order to cash, is going to be the highest profile department in every company. It should be already. Often it's not, though. But from here on in, you know, we're going to be front and center of every conversation. So, okay, moving on. Neil, so having now automated the AR management with Sarala some time ago, how do you see that this investment is paying off, particularly through the turmoil of last year and this year?
Yeah, I mean, the payoff actually in some cases, we, you know, with our circumstances, maybe 3 steps forward, 1 step back, and then maybe we can make progress again to get even better. So we saw for sure during the ABB implementation a significant increase in the automation rate, right? So significant increase in the level of automation for cash application, and this was what our primary driver was. We also actually had the objective of getting our brand new hubs, GBS hubs, to work on a positive project with a positive outcome and deliverable, where they could work in the new environment with the market teams. So there was like also some kind of a social or engagement type aspect to the project. So this piece was a huge success, right? So bringing together IS, our market teams, our global business services teams.
Right.
The automation rate was a big success. And like I said, even though we may have gone a little bit backwards recently, we have massively increased the automation rate. And then from there, there was a payoff in terms of released capacity, right? So let's say resource available. We didn't do a huge resource reduction program with that. I have to say, Mark, you hit the nail on the head. I think our issue was our overdues and our disputes level. So the fact that we had freed up capacity that we could use for collection and for dispute management or dispute monitoring, this was the advantage that we had from the project. So maybe we didn't, and I wasn't really pushing for a productivity deliverable. I was really pushing for an effectiveness one, which were the thing that we were least proud of was our overdues and DSO.
Okay, thanks for that. I think you started to touch on my next question as well. Was did the project give development opportunities for local talent to upskill? I think you were saying about how you brought lots of other stakeholders into this.
I mean, this was really great, right? So, and I would say, and also something that I was really so proud of, that we had cash application SMEs who turned into global project managers over time, right? And even we had a number of these colleagues who have stepped up, you know, and been able to run these projects and coordinating. And it shows for us who are working in these GBS environments, you know, we all know that these project capabilities and these project talents are really vital to us to make step after step after step. So yeah, I would say that's a real benefit for us, and we're using those same colleagues now to work on bigger and harder projects.
And it helps to. I mean, it's this is something we're very passionate of, you know, in Callisto, and I think it's something that, you know, people can really buy in. They understand more about the end-to-end business, and it really helps for people to want to stay in the company. You know, we in Central Europe, we have this 20% staff turnover on average, and to be engaged and to, you know, people to develop it really, there is a direct correlation between people development and, you know, staying and building career through one company. So that's something to be applauded. Moving on then. So the next question really was, and I think it probably follows on from this. One of the main objectives of the project is to, you know, ultimately is to reduce duplication and waste and so on. Were you able to standardize and harmonize a number of other things like payment methods, payment terms? Is that part of the scope?
No. I mean, yeah, we wouldn't be, or we haven't been trying to standardize on payment terms, payment methods. Yeah, and to some extent. So in the US, they have these methods like ACH, lockbox, various different. So we're pushing people towards the ACH has been a real benefit. Honestly, it wasn't necessarily the cash application, the Autobank project, which was driving that. We had some habits in with certain customers to put a check in the post on the 31st of the month. So this was, let's say, an annoying working capital block, right? So we just wanted, so that was the target there, rather than the cash application. Also, having said that, the outcome was just as, you know, equally valid for the cash application side and improving the automation rate and so on. Great, thanks.
That's a good. I think Mara, perhaps I could ask you that question as well. Are you just before
before you go on, Mark? Sure. Just that I would say one thing is that when we look at payment terms and the nature of our business, so we would have in ABB we would have projects, products, engineer to order, manufactured to order, all these different categories. We had 25 different discrete BUs, from companies that made small electrical contactors to companies that made power grids. Okay, so this variety of business models, and then operating in 70 different markets around the world, with 1/3 of our business being in Europe, 1/3 of the business being in Americas, 1/3 of the business being in Asia.
Okay.
So if you could imagine trying to run a payment terms rationalization project in that environment, yeah, I needed to start 50 years ago, I think.
Yeah, that's one for the future, I think. If at all, no, I understand. As you're saying, if you're making to order, of course, that's a whole different kind of contractual arrangements anyway, isn't it? So thank you for that. Manbo, yeah, is there any kind of, you know, sort of general takeaways in terms of the standardization that you're picking up, you know, from other clients in other verticals and so on?
Yeah, pretty much what Neil said. So that's a big topic. That saves in the end also a lot of complex time and reduce complexity. Standardization, I mean, all around the globe, there are a lot of different challenges per region as well. So that's not easy to standardize completely. But yeah, that's what we achieved at ABB Hitachi, let's say. So in the end, the result, if you have standardized your processes in cash application, is that first, you know that everyone works on the same way, let's say, the processes are completely the same. You can have more visibility on your processes, which is, from my perspective, very important, because you know where you have to make some optimization still. Other companies, I mean, even similar to ABB or Hitachi, they also have, you know, several SAP systems, for example. It's a complex landscape, maybe even non-SAP environments. But also here, the goal is, or the objective is to streamline the cash app process, the flows coming from banks, from payment service providers, and so on, from customers, remittance advisors, and have one streamlined flow into one central solution, and then, you know, do the automation.
Okay, thanks very much. Moving on, perhaps back to Neil then. One of the major disruptions in the last year has been the working from home, which I think is probably going to be here to stay. It's going to become standard working model. Was there any additional requirements, consideration for things like cyber security, regarding the the cash app being managed remotely and so on? For
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good point, and obviously we had a number of ways of, let's say, increasing the security level that we had for activities that are being performed remotely. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail. Obviously, everybody, each company and corporate will have their own approaches for this, but I think, yeah. So I'm not going to go into that in too much detail. What I would say though is, for the customer and supplier relationship, where a supplier is providing bank details, and we're exchanging bank details for transmission of funds between each other. I think for all of us, I think there needs to be more security in how we can be sure that the party that is telling us that the bank account details have changed is an appropriate party. So this is one aspect. I mean, not go into it in too much detail, but I don't think that's necessarily relating to working from home, more relating to the nature of cyber fraud is changing a little bit.
General compliance anyway, isn't it, around sensitive data? Yeah, which is that's a good point. Manuel, are you I guess same question really. I guess these kind of conversations go in parallel now. Implementation, working from home, security. Yeah, they're all kind of one and the same package. Yeah.
Yes, sure. I mean, compliance is a big thing, and from my perspective, it even increases in the future. What we do in terms of compliance, our products are first, they are compliant with the environment from customers, but we also offer functionalities to be more aware of maybe cybersecurity. I mean, like the fake president thing, and then all the other things, fake invoices, everything what you have heard already. When I really stay on cybersecurity, which it is even actually a quite interesting topic, because those criminal companies, let's say, because they are actually companies already, they are very professional. It's not that they write you in very bad English emails. It is really very professional now, and yeah, I mean, that's, no one would even know that this is an email, for example, from someone outside. And I would say we, with our products, for example, you can try to reduce it, but they are always on the same level. They always try the best, and we have functionalities to like if anti-money laundering in our cash application tool, Autobank, or in the payments part to really do a fraud check, fraud monitoring. So there are possibilities, but yeah, so cybersecurity is always important, and I think we don't really reach the end. There will come more because everything is now more digital. Yeah, so we always, also together with our with our company, customers. So no, sorry. We always need to think about new things, new functionalities, how we can avoid cybersecurity in total. It's a big topic.
Oh, it's a huge one, and of course it's a huge growth industry, particularly in the last year, I think. So,
true.
Excellent. Good. Thank you both very much. Okay, so back to you, Neil. Tell us, where do you stand today with the cash allocation solution, and what other key benefits have you achieved with the AR automation, and kind of moving forward now, I guess, what's the next level? What's going to come next?
Yeah.
There's like 3 questions there, I think, in the end.
Yeah. I said before a little bit, we go 3 steps forward, 1 step back. But our next stage on the journey is to have one single global SAP system, or S4HANA, and we've already started with Sorella on our new journey of the next, let's say, the next level. We started implementing Autobank in 2017 around the country. So some of these versions are out of date, and we've got much better features. Some of our customers have become more mature, so we can rely much more on bank detail information rather than relying on remittance detail. But also Autobank, if we do rely on remittance detail, we had some nice solutions from Sorella, but the new solutions from Sorella, Manuel, you can correct me, but the Smart Eye solutions that we've went for with the new version, the FS2 Fiori apps, which are, we looked at them, and we found the other day that we were inventing something that they already did. So just let's say it's global dashboards, having global oversight, and companies like ours would like to have that. So we're a smaller company, so Hitachi ABB Power Grids is a $10 billion business compared to being a $40 billion business that we were in ABB. But with that $10 billion business, we then can have much more agile, and also having much more day-to-day transparency and visibility of the numbers as we see it coming through Autobank. So those are the opportunities and advantages we get going forward. And maybe I talked too long about this, but I also want to move to the next step. So we, like I said, we have 5 brand new hubs and 30 brand new market teams, and some brand new talent as well in various countries. So also use, again, because we're so proud of what we achieved last time, and it was a successful, let's say, recipe. We try and do the same again, honestly, but take it to the next level. So take the technology to the next level, and then also use the capability and talent of our own colleagues to do this. And I just have to say, for us, when we're working, and it maybe didn't come across, but Sorella, we've never really used Sorella too much on the consulting side or on the project side. So they really worked with us as project coaches, right? And guiding us, rather than using them to do the projects for us. And this is a model that is great for us, right? So, but maybe on this, in the, let's say, the next little phase, we maybe use them a little bit more than we did last time.
So you're saying there's a lot of there's a lot of experience within Sorella that you can draw on for as and I think that's a good point, actually. And often it's kind of these projects are kind of separated between service provider and then everything's done in house, and because these guys have done this 1,000 times before, so they're going to pick up something for better or for worse, aren't they, that they can share with the likes of yourselves going forward. I think that's a very valid point. And the bit that excites me about this technology, and you said about it, was visibility and dashboards. The more you can see, globally, regionally, locally, individually, then you can start to, you can do all sorts of things with that, then, can't you? Then you can get into a lot more, sort of prediction and so on, and it permeates right the way through the company, doesn't it? To the treasury and so on and so on. It's not just we've collected so many million euros or whatever. There's more to it than that, isn't there? And that's the advantage of these the technology, I believe, and that's the exciting thing, I think, for the people working with it, is to see what they see and then to react and do things with it. So Manuel, then moving into the future, what do you think are the major trends in AR automation from a fintech perspective? Which technologies are being utilized to improve financial processes today? And really, where's it all going to go in the next 2 or 3 years from like a credit order to cash perspective?
Yeah. So the payment behavior of customers, even in B2B, is increasingly determined by online payment method, not least through COVID. And yeah, with the advantage of real time and the often more direct path to the customer, let's say request to pay, online portal for payment, and so on. Yeah, PSD2 and open banking further strengthen this process or trend. And then this is one of the reasons why Serala has also strengthened itself with the online payment specialist Exit Easy in the last year, so that we are also, going into that direction as well. And let's say trends, that's pretty exciting, I would say. We talk about a product today, which is in SAP integrated tool, embedded tool. And what we are going in which direction we are going is now that we are offering best of both worlds. So we are offering services in addition. So customers want fast results, and this hybrid model, so the best of both worlds, is very key. Already today, we are having tools, models, or cloud services that are supporting the embedded cash application in SAP by, Neil already told you, the remittance advice processing in the cloud called SmartEye, or the processing of payment service provider information, which is called P2P reconciliation, or bank connectivity, portal connectivity, marketplace connectivity. All those services, getting files from somewhere, converting them or making them importable into SAP or into, we also offer a cash application in the cloud, which is also more and more requested by customers, especially when they have SAP and other ERP systems in their landscape. So what we see is really that hybrid model. Yeah. When we talk about customers or to customers that have SAP in place, using integrated products from Serala, but getting supported by cloud services, that's from our perspective a huge trend, and it's highly scalable, and we expect this trend to continue.
And I think it's a very exciting time. But as Neil was saying, the people that have been involved in the project, so they kind of started from, where they started from. So they really learned it step by step, day by day, page by page, which puts these people into a fantastic position. But as the technologies evolve, these are the guys that are going to be able to drive it firsthand. So this is, it's a development for the company and for the individual. So it's an incredibly exciting time. The next few years, I think, are going to see things that we probably didn't envisage 5 years ago, and rapid changes to come. Yeah. Okay. We have getting some questions from our audience as well. So I'd just like to move over into those, if I may, as well. And we've got quite a few here. Well, the first question was, Neil, if you were able to go back pre-implementation with the benefit of hindsight, what 3 things would you change?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. So you always have to present your business case for your project. You're going to make a big investment, and you're going to have to buy an asset, and you're going to have to convince management stakeholders that this is a good use of the money, company's money. If I was to change one thing, and this is just a confidence thing, right? And I only get it on risk. I only get to have this in retrospect, right? So, I would have started way earlier because I had fantastic justification from the very start. So it's just what I kick myself about is that we let it drag through the, let's say, the slow bureaucratic process for maybe a year and a half, when I could have really gone a lot faster than that.
And I think that's a very general thing, I think, as well, the getting somebody you know, to really kind of kick it off and actually just get on with it. It does sometimes take a long time, and I'm sure you know that, Manuel, from your position, you know, from inquiry to, you know, to kick off can, you know, what do you say, Neil, about a year and a half, did you say, from?
Yeah, but that was maybe I'm being generous as well. So
okay, all right. Thank you for that.
Our colleagues in Germany had been using Autobank, I think since, and Manuel, maybe you can help me, but maybe since 2012 or something like this. I don't know when you formed, but yeah, very, very early adopters.
Yeah,
and
sure.
we saw how fantastic it was then. They were already on, I don't know, 80% automation rate in 2014. Why did we wait? Yeah.
It's a great point. Yeah, and I think that's probably a strong message for everybody listening today, isn't it? Is you know, it certainly start to look and start to kick off the process if it's not been started already. Yeah. So okay. Another question, and this again, this is for you, Neil. It says, could you please elaborate further on what you meant by we don't rely on remittance advices so much anymore? Based on what information Autobank, yeah, based on what information does Autobank close? I think that says, but basically,
so the first thing, depending on the market, right? So and like I said, third in Europe, third in Americas, third in Asia. But if we take Europe in particular, especially, I mean, I don't take my own country, the UK is one of those, right? But in the Nordics, in Switzerland, in Germany, you have really a lot of transparent detail coming through on the bank payment file already in your bank statement, which is enough to process directly to the invoice. So customers and suppliers are being transparent with each other when with that information, and in some countries you can even achieve even higher levels. So you don't need the remittance advice. In fact, in some of those markets, they ask the question, well, what is a remittance advice? They don't use them at all, really. Then other markets where you're talking checks and lockboxes and these kind of payment methods, yeah, then obviously remittance is key. And if you've got a customer who's paying you, I don't know, in one payment paying you 1,000 invoices, then you really got to find a way of handling that remittance advice in an automated way. So and Sorella has these solutions, right? So but anyway, just to answer the question, why we don't rely on them so much anymore. It's this migration from check and lockbox to ACH in Americas, or and in many markets they're moving away from checks. Even markets where you would think that will never change. Yeah, well, India has moved extensively to electronic payments now, right? And I think actually it's another point, right? So the pandemic and is actually changed that for a lot of companies, actually, that the payment methods are changing. So the other thing is when we talk about with Sorella, it has this this method of learning or simulating, right? So if it's seen this bank account before, then it can this paying account before, it knows who the customer account is in SAP, and then once it knows who the customer is in SAP, and it can only see 2 or 3 invoices on that account, and the first 2, by matching those as 100% match, yeah, it's giving you that. It's learning, right? It's automating the guesswork, so you don't need a remittance for that.
And that's the machine learning in real time,
yeah,
right in front of you, isn't it? Every day that's happening. Yeah. Okay, so thanks for that. As we're getting towards the end, Manuel, could you give us a short overview of the the Sorala approach to cash allocation, and how does it differentiate itself in the market?
Yeah. First, we are a strong global player with a lot of know-how in the market and in future technologies. Future technologies, we just heard, machine learning, artificial intelligence, which is also a trend, by the way, I haven't mentioned in my previous question or answer. Customer pay very differently in country to country or in the regions, and they want to harmonize and optimize, and that's how we want to tackle the challenges with a lot of functionalities we are providing, and especially cash application. So I think how we can differentiate in the market is that we have powerful tools within when I stay at for our embedded solutions. First, powerful solutions which are getting supported by different services, new functionalities like the artificial intelligence functionalities in Autobank with this payment service provider reconciliation functionalities, and we are about to always extend these functions in our cash app tools, also in our cloud solutions. So that means we are really close to the market. We see what happens there. There are some more things like cryptocurrencies and so on. So the market never sleeps, let's say, and we are trying to be always being on the same level, being on the same with the same speed. We want to change our products, enhance our products, that we always meet the requirements in the different regions. I think that's very important. I mean, Europe is completely different to Asia, and Asia is completely different to the American markets. And being compatible with one solution in all these different regions, I think that's key. And in combination with align with new technologies, I think that's how we can differentiate. I think one big thing is as well that Sorala can offer a huge range of functionalities, products, and process optimization. So the customer can choose what he wants to have, and especially with our cloud services. In addition, he can really pick what is needed, what services we can offer, we can do in addition. I think that's how we can differentiate in the market. Yeah.
Lovely, thanks very much. We're almost at the end of our time. Neil, is there anything you'd like to just to finish off in summary, as a wrap up for today?
Thanks very much, Mark. Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting us share. And I would say, it's this question which has got me. This what three things I would change. I would say, I only said one, right? And I would say I'm so proud of what we achieved in both in the ABB time and what we're achieving now in Power Grids. And I'm pleased to share the story with everyone. Happy that if anybody wants to reach out and get in touch, please do. But technically, Manuel is probably the guide for the detail on the project. I hope you enjoyed what we were saying here, and thanks very much, Mark, for leading us through the conversation.
My pleasure. Manuel, anything you just want to wrap up with?
I think Neil is right. Yeah. So when there are some more things, I think we have mentioned a lot of good things. Thanks, Neil, for your deep insight, your honest experiences. So from my side, all good. If there are some more questions, please let us know. Happy to speak to you in more detail.
And for myself, to Neil and Manuel, thank you very much for participating today and making this. Well, I think it's been a really great presentation today. We've really enjoyed it. And to everybody who's joined us from around the world as well, as we've seen quite a big number of people today. So thank you very much too for taking time out to join us. Please get in touch with all of us. We'd love to hear from you. in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and hope to see you all again very soon. So on behalf of myself and Sarala and Hitachi ABB, thanks a lot, take care, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.